glory and inspiration 24 hours a day. UBM Praise Chicago, a service of the UBM Networks.
The following show is paid programming and does not necessarily express the views and opinions of Urban Broadcast Media and its subsidiaries.
Thank you for listening to UBM Praise.
Let's go.
Sir Walter Jones.
Who is it?
Sir Walter Jones.
What's his name?
Sir Walter Jones.
Whose show is this?
Sir Walter Jones.
Who is it?
Sir Walter Jones.
Say it again.
Sir Walter Jones.
Who you with?
Sir Walter Jones.
One more again.
Sir Walter Jones.
The Sir Walter Jones Show. Co-host Alvin Carter. We are a Christian talk show in where we tackle all the hot topics in a believer's walk.
Sir Walter Jones.
Who is it?
Sir Walter Jones.
What's his name?
Sir Walter Jones.
Whose show is this?
Sir Walter Jones.
Who is it?
Sir Walter Jones.
Say it again.
Sir Walter Jones.
It's Tuesday, and oh yes, it's Ladies' Night. We call it Pink Perspectives. What's on your mind, ladies? The men are all ears on Pink Perspectives, right here on the Sir Walter Jones Show.
Everybody, it's Sir Walter for the Sir Walter Jones Show. I'm he. It is Tuesday. Pink Perspectives. We sit around the mic and talk to the ladies.
I ain't no lady.
About Alvin Carter. Yes, we does. We have been on this kick thing about divorce. It has been deep. It has been interesting. It's been controversial, and we've been trying to tell the truth. We had a great Yvette Ford here.
Spirit!
Spirit. She was here yesterday, and she will be coming in here as well today. On the way, traffic is crazy out there, but just bear with her. She'll be here soon. And very soon, she'll be coming to see the king. Yeah.
Not gonna touch that one.
Don't touch it.
I was gonna call you king of divorce, but then I have to think about what that makes Art the emperor.
Right. Yes, he is the emperor. Yeah.
There's no marriage I can't run.
Right. Right. Yesterday, what we talked about how to stay together. Let's stay together, and how we try to give you all of it's a bucket list of things that you need to do.
Okay.
To refreshen your marriage.
I wish I had been there for that.
Yeah. So it really was a marriage show. But towards the end, what we did was we focused on some of the signs that you ain't seeing that's getting ready to lead to your divorce.
What to look for.
Okay.
So it was a CPR for your marriage.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Right. Because we're going to talk about divorce. You know what?
Marriage defibrillator.
Clear. Yeah.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because when you go to the doctor, what he do is, yes, he's going to prescribe some medicine. But what a good doctor does is the one that's compassionate is going to tell you what to do so that this won't happen again.
He's gonna give you a diagnosis, a prognosis. He's going to give you preventive measures.
That's it.
And he's also going to let you know what's going to happen if you do this and if you don't do that.
That's it. Now that's a good doctor who's not so caught up on just on the money. Because if he's a filthy lucre kind of guy,
he's gonna write as many
write up all kind of stuff and can tell you to come
take
back.
This, and then you got to take this to counter the side effects of this, and then you got to take this to counter the side effects of this. That's the counter effect. Yeah.
Yeah. And you come back, and I want to see you.
In the next 2 weeks.
Yep, and then that don't work. You come back and I'll grab this and you on.
We're gonna have surgery now.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Let me pull that organ out of your body.
Yeah, we're gonna explore.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, those are the ones who just they got that Lexus sitting out back.
Lexus.
It's got a note on it.
They don't drive it. Well, mine does have a Lexus.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay, but he's a good doctor.
He's a good doctor.
He had an old Lexus.
Oh, okay. Well, he's probably an old guy then.
No, he our age.
He's our age.
Well, he's a little older than us.
All right then. Well, let's see what Facebook is saying on this thing here. I know you guys were chiming in earlier on the topic.
This is another one of them topics where you got more women talking than men.
Yeah, you do. Men are,
Then somebody just threw a brother under the bus. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Why would you
Let's
tell?
See. Latoya Gibson said, this is ought to be interesting. Demetrius Brand Tripler says, this is where the rubber meets the road in relationships. Do I stay? Do I go? Prayers go forth for real on this subject. No one marries to divorce, but it is always a possibility. This is so true. Items that I've witnessed firsthand in divorce situations are intense on the adults involved, but many times the hearts and minds of the children are not taken into consideration while things are going on. Mm-hmm. They observe the parents putting each other down, sometimes violence and in fact is factor. Sometimes they are used as a weapon to hurt the other parent.
Wow, I can hear her voice saying these things.
I can hear it too. There are times when one spouse
lisping on.
Yep, has had enough, but the other person's pride won't allow them to go peacefully. Mm-hmm. Stalking, going to the job, making false DHS claims. For those of you who don't live here, that's Department of Human Services.
Okay.
Defaming the person's character while trying to make the lives of anyone they encounter hectic. Divorce can be dirty. Ooh. It is good to deal with the reality of the possibility before entering a marriage. Some people can't handle the stress of sickness in a marriage. Being a caregiver takes away from career and family goals.
It's funny, as you were reading her comments, I had a mental flashback of a visual from a scene in a Tyler Perry movie.
Oh, really?
Remember in Why Did I Get Married 2? The Malik Yoba character.
Yes.
And Janet Jackson. He had no clue she was going to announce his divorce.
Yeah, that's divorce. So true. Yeah.
And then as they battled and went back and forth, she visited his job, and that's when the visit came, and she had a homosexual pop out of a cake.
Yeah.
And that bitter act killed him.
Yeah.
That led to his death.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, I mean, she said it was dirty. That was dirty.
That was dirty.
Because she ended up hurting herself as a result because she didn't want to kill him.
She didn't. That is so true. Ooh, man, you bringing up something there.
Yeah.
Angela Garrett says today, as well as yesterday, is a listen and learn session for me.
Oh, double L, double R, double T.
I have not been through this, but I have been a witness of to the proceedings, and it's very painful to watch, even when the couple is civil, especially when you love both of them dearly. This is so true. Lady Michelle Matheny. She's been bit by that bug. She says occasionally we get to a point in our lives where we see the path diverging in front of us. Crossroads.
Diverging. Big word, big word.
Big word, big word. This can be a very dramatic yet traumatizing experience. Parting ways, evident choices, decisions that cannot coexist anymore with someone who you thought would be your forever happily ever after. And at some point, you have to do what's best for you and healthy for the kids. And that sometimes doesn't necessarily mean staying in your marriage.
Wow.
Yeah. And Alvis Nana says, oh my, did you say legally married and dating? This should be interesting. Yes. We're going to talk about that. Are you allowed to date while you are going through a divorce? Or legally separated?
Why procrastinate?
Right.
Hey, I might as well get ready.
Get ready.
You know a man, he's best way to get.
Absolutely.
Many of them say best way to get over one is get over another.
Right. That's what they say.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
I don't know, boy. I don't want to be able. If this marriage ends, that's it. I'm ending marriage.
You. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Been there, done that. Got a T-shirt and a hat.
Yeah. All right, man. I
you don't believe me?
Come to my class.
Oh. I'm gonna write a new class.
Minister Dawn
curriculum.
says married twice, divorced twice. Went to counseling before a divorce in both of my marriages. First marriage was abusive and married for different reasons. None of them were for love or based on biblical principles. Ooh. Thank you for your honesty, Dawn. That took a bold woman to say that. And took a lot of courage. She says, but I truly have been healed and know where God wants me to be. Now my job is to help others in making decisions towards marriage. That's a great job. And thank you for giving us that. Yeah, I know you messing up here because you said she's doing her voice text. Yeah, I was trying to read around the mistakes, but anyway.
You got to be prophetic to do that.
You got to be prophetic and pathetic sometimes.
Oh,
All right, I'm going to take you through some of the spiritualities and the naturalities of all of this stuff, all right?
Okay.
Because you do know that there are scriptures and talk about divorce and marriage. It's Alvin, what do you think, as far as Christians are concerned? What are possibly the two most controversial topics talked about among Christians?
Infidelity and divorce.
Infidelity,
Sexual sin, and divorce.
and divorce. Two most controversial
Yeah.
in any denomination.
Any group of people almost.
Yeah, those two.
I don't even think it's limited to Christianity.
No, it's not.
You know.
Yeah.
I guess those are the two, and then money comes in right after that as a third, or it may be in a tie for second for one of those, depending upon the individual, what's important to them.
Right.
But those are the big three.
Those are the big three. Yeah. Okay. To recap, yesterday what we did was we tried to make sure that you guys could stay together, even if there was an abuse that happened. If a man abused you or a woman abused, because men are abused too physically now more than ever before.
They do it more, you say?
Yeah, the men are being abused more and more now.
It's being recorded and reported more.
Reported more, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And some people say, how, you know how we used to say about slavery, man, if I was back in that day, ain't no way I'm letting a white man. You see what I'm saying?
You go to work every day.
You know what I'm saying? You go to work. That's
And
pretty
you
much
do that
slavery.
mean boss every
Come
day.
on, man. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
and you come home and complain every day, but you get up and go right back every day
Oh, yeah.
until
And
you find another job, and then you find yourself going through the same thing again.
Yep.
Don't tell me what you wouldn't do unless
Don't
you're
tell
really in
me.
that situation.
Don't tell me. And you play ball. You got a coach. You on the NBA. That's ownership right there, brother.
That is true ownership.
Yes, sir. They own you and they can trade you.
Yep. I don't want
To
you
the
right
next
now. I'm
master.
gonna send you over here.
That's right. That's right.
And you ain't got nothing to say about
You
it.
can't say nothing because you signed the contract. You got a deal, right? So what we try to do is try to see if people can stay together. I had a track mine, and you threw me off track.
I'm sorry.
It'll come back, I'm sure.
Always blaming me for your
I had to blame you
derailments.
for something. Okay, and so what we did was we talked about the recovery. We talked about counseling.
We talked about
counseling.
abusive men, and you were saying men will be abused.
There it is.
Okay.
So what I was going to say with that is that everything can be forgiven.
Okay.
Absolutely everything, including murder,
Yes.
which seems to be the worst. But even that can be forgiven.
Yes.
If your husband, your wife, may have murdered someone, okay, even that can be forgiven. Infidelity can be forgiven. Now, do we send someone back into these homes and force them back into homes because we say that God says you need to be there? That is a fallacy. That is dangerous to do. And that's where the church had to change its stand on sending women back home to abusive men, and then they come back to church with black eyes and hands and caskets, and some of them we had to go to their funerals. Okay, so you don't do that. But if a wife decides that she wants to forgive a man for an abuse, she can. She has every right to do that, and then she needs to make sure that he goes get some help.
Okay.
She can go get some professional help from don't be. I'm Zakata.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
trying to turn this not turn this into a church bashing situation.
Okay, it's kind of hard then.
Okay, it is, but your pastor is not the fix all of all. Okay, he cannot fix every one of your problems. All right, because if this man is abusing you, what have you, he needs to go to a professional, someone who can help him, and not a person who's gonna just throw extra virgin oil on his head and send him back home.
I totally agree with you. Here's one of the biggest problems that has happened. Because you can put together a great speech and then deliver it, vocally deliver it very well, does not qualify you as a counselor.
Right.
Counselors you're no more a good counselor because you're a preacher or a pastor than you are a good medical doctor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you may have been sick before, and you know how to pop a pill in your mouth, but that does not make you a medical doctor.
Right.
So you're not trained to counsel, then why are you doing it?
Why are you doing?
So I don't want to sound like a basher myself, but one of the first things I learned when I was matriculating through ministry school, we had to take some counseling classes. And the first thing it tells you is to do the very opposite of what you expect counseling to do, and that's to tell the patient what to do.
Yeah.
And too many times pastors like to tell the person what to do as opposed to listen to them, lay it out there, and pray with them, and allow Holy Spirit to do the talking. And not necessarily through you.
Yeah, right.
Because if God can talk to you, he can talk to them too. How you think they got there?
Yeah, that is so true. That's so true. Okay, so I wanted to at least touch on that from yesterday so that we can understand that we're not trying to tell everybody to go out there and get a divorce. That is not our subject matter today. That is not our ministry. Divorce first. It was like shoot first and ask questions later. That's not what we're telling you to do. But what we're trying to do is help you save your marriage before you make that final decision to go down into that lawyer. All right. So try to forgive as much as possible. Forgive, live peaceably if you can. With the both of you, and sometimes you got to separate in order to heal. All right, so leave the house. You may have to get another apartment. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is.
Oh yeah, and sometimes that could be the best thing.
It is,
because that space gives both of you time to think and reflect, even miss one another.
Yep,
and sometimes it helps make it like it was.
Yes, make it like it was. The way it used to be.
Yeah, make them hunger for your love.
Hunger for your love,
and not your hit.
Something leaves
constantly.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't know. That's Winans there.
Yeah, Carvin
wrote that for what's her name? Let's see. Alvin says, Alvin need to get a little closer to the mic, please, and thank you. Well,
didn't you see me sit up?
Not for Spreaker, for Facebook Live.
Oh, so I need to,
because you're so far back here. That's not for. Spreaker can hear you. Matter of fact, my mic is lower than yours. I don't know why is that.
It's the weight of my voice, brother.
I don't know why mine's lower than yours.
It's the weight of the voice.
Well, wait.
You got a skinny voice. I got a heavy voice.
Counseling before marriage and counseling when you are thinking about divorce is very important because you learned not only things about the other person, but you learn about yourself. Okay? All right. So, after yesterday, you guys have touched everything you can do to keep together, stay together, and then you decided, okay, that's it. I can't do it. It's time for a divorce. Now, let's find out why you need to divorce. And does the Bible even say that you have a way out? The Bible gives us 2 reasons for divorce, only 2. Any other reason, I'm sorry, is not in the Bible. Although we're not telling you can't. All right, I know it's going to sound like it's just, Walter, you're talking out of the side of your lip hole.
What a name, lip hole.
Your lip hole.
Lip hole.
So,
it's lip hole.
I'm trying to help you out here. Before I do that, Art Lewis has something to say here. Since he's the emperor.
He heard it.
Art Lewis says, Minister Don, where does freedom of choice has a play in his holy ordination? I mean, people of the world that outside of the church seem to make it work. So whether or not it was some godly bringing together, you stood before people and made a promise in God's covenant. So whether or not if it was of the Spirit, shouldn't people work at keeping their word, work at sustaining this covenant they way before God and family?
The emperor has spoken.
The emperor has spoken. And he's right. Because you are breaking a covenant when you do divorce, all right? Now, I'm saying this before I go into the hard stuff, is that because you want to get out of a relationship because you just don't like a person anymore, that's not the reason for divorce. You should be seeking on a way of trying to find and restore love before you say, I don't like him no more. Matter of fact, Jesus addressed this in scriptures because the Jews were issuing writs of divorces
left and right
because they just didn't like their wives.
And the men could do it. The women
couldn't do it. Absolutely. And then Jesus told them, well, it wasn't like this at the beginning. Moses gave a writ of divorce just for protection purposes. Jesus said, no, that's not the way it was in the beginning. And so we'll go there in a minute. Let's talk about the process of dating. I am in the process of getting divorced. So can I start dating, or do I have to wait until the divorce is final? All right. The question of dating during the divorce process is a difficult thing to answer for various reasons. For one thing, the concept of dating as we know it is nowhere mentioned in the Bible, Alvin Takata.
No.
If you want to know how to date, you will not find it in the Bible.
No.
Nowhere in the Bible.
Because it was a vague concept.
Yep. Most marriages in the Bible times were arranged. Okay? And any contact between two prospective spouses were strictly monitored. That's why the Bible says, whoso finds a wife finds a good thing. That means anybody can find a wife for you. All right?
Yeah, they had arranged marriages.
You had arranged marriage. In addition, no matter what view one takes on this, the issue of divorce, it is important to remember Malachi chapter 2 and 16 says, I hate divorce. That's what he said in Malachi 2. He hates it. All right? Let's see. According to the Bible, marriage is a lifetime commitment. And so they are no longer two, but one. There you go. Therefore, what God has joined together,
let no man
should put asunder. That's Matthew 19:6. No decision to divorce should be made lightly. Just need you to know that. All right? It should not be made lightly. Stefan Burse says the Bible allows freedom only by death and infidelity. Well, death is obvious.
Now,
that's the obvious.
Now, here's the funny thing, though. Infidelity by whom?
Yeah.
See, when we read that, most people think it's the man. But because pluralistic marriages were taking place, she couldn't marry many. She could only have one husband.
Yeah.
But he could have as many wives as he
sure
wanted
can.
in that time.
In that culture.
So, in that time and culture. So, the infidelity was not necessarily what we look at and apply today.
Yeah, that's so true.
That goes back into the tale of two books.
Yeah, that's good. Can't wait to do that show. There are three situations in which dating during the divorce process might occur. The first is the case of a spouse who has biblical grounds for divorce. Biblical grounds, right? That is, the innocent spouse has been abandoned by his or her unbelieving spouse or has been cheated on by an unrepentant adulterer. In either case, the innocent spouse is most likely in a state of emotional turmoil and vulnerability. And most people going through a divorce, even when it is not their fault and even when they have biblical reason, are usually shattered by the circumstances and not in any frame of mind to be dating. You know, people don't usually make good decisions while on the rebound. They just don't.
You have to empty out, as I call it.
You know what I'm saying? For a still hurting divorced person or someone in the painful divorce process to be dating is neither wise nor is it prudent. And the abandoned spouse may indeed be lonely, but making clear-headed, godly relationship decisions in such a situation is difficult, if not impossible. And so you're going through the separation, or you don't know where your husband is, or the estranged wife or husband, and yet you're dating someone. You're not being fair to the person that you brought into this relationship. And it can turn into a dangerous situation because the other party may be making it hard for you to legally get divorced. Now, this other person is waiting patiently and you're spending and wasting their life while you try to get your life together. Yeah. Get your life right. Get your life right.
You know that's cold now.
Yeah. Spirit. We got the great Yvette Ford came in. I thought she was gonna be much later than this, but she earlier than she was yesterday. Oh. I'm shocked and appalled.
Oh.
Those are your first words. I love you too, Sir Walter. You see him? That's all right. I'm gonna let him have that.
She on time.
I'm gonna let him have that.
On timer.
I'm gonna let him have that.
Hey, sweetie, how you is?
I'm all right. Started me off on that note right there, but it's all right though.
You brought the handsome man in here. Whatever.
He's not ready to be on the show.
That nephew there.
That handsome guy right there.
That's all right.
That's all right there. You doing all right?
I'm good.
All right. Well, we chiming in on this whole dating thing.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
You came in right on the right time.
Well, I'm ready to talk about it.
You came in the right time.
That's what I'm here for.
This is where I exit because I can't participate in this conversation.
Here we go now. Elder Kevin McGee keeps saying it. You was late Saturday.
Ooh, Kevin,
keep going. He keep doing these pot shots.
You better be good. I can't see it, Kevin. All right, play with me. I can't help it.
Ooh, Kevin McGee.
If he only knew.
Oh my God. Minister Richardson says, true arranged marriages. The man spent at least a year to show that he was worthy of the woman to her parents. He had to prepare a home and show that he can take of her like her father. You probably said care, but you missed that word. That's all right. Today, we need to take out time after divorce and find out where did we go wrong. Where did we go wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we can heal and be ready to date and or marry again. And that's next week's show, Minister Richardson. We're talking about after divorce next week. But hey, Yvette, dating.
Yeah.
Good or bad? Why are you going through your separation and divorce?
Of course it's bad.
Yeah, how was that though?
Well, I understand why some people do it because they have been sad a long time.
Wow.
And when they know that they're finally getting to the point where they're going to be free and over again, some people start too fast. But they want to be free. They want to love. They want happiness. They've been without it for so long. And so they just, they dive into it. And that's like the reason behind it. But, of course, it's wrong. You need to end that segment of your life before you bring somebody else in it. It's just not right. It's absolutely not right to the person on the other side because, you're bringing things that you need to shed off into a new relationship already. And you're not legally out. You should just do the right thing. Finish, clean yourself, get yourself together so you can present yourself to somebody at your best, not while you're leaking and hurting.
Legally out?
Yeah. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
And your heart as well, not just legally, but your heart
Okay,
should
that
be
part
untangled.
I totally agree and respect. I like the leaking part too. That's cool.
The leaking part.
Yeah, the leaking part.
Yeah.
But you mentioned a scenario whereas what if the other party is refusing to consent to the divorce?
Yes.
And you have healed and you're done with it. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who have been separated for 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. When do they get to move on?
That's right.
So what is legal? And do they do the little underhanded thing?
Right.
And put an ad in the Southtown Commons and say this person is missing? Close their eyes when they look at them. I don't see them. Haven't seen them in a few minutes, or you know what I'm saying. And then go through the quote unquote legal parameters to get the divorce. I mean, that has happened to people I know too. So, when is it a right time for real?
Sure.
And not just ideal.
Right. Absolutely. And these are some of the touchy subjects here, and I'm gonna let Yvette kind of handle that as well. Mariah Carey is going through this right now.
Oh,
with what's his name? Nick
Oh,
Cannon.
now she missing them.
Well, no. Nick filed for divorce. Okay, fine. Once you file, you figure, okay, this is going through the process. Fine. And then Mariah Carey's dating now a billionaire. All right, they want to move forward, but they can't. Because Nick is holding up the paperwork. So what some of the scenarios that happen, Yvette, is that some people file for divorce and then they change their mind.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Or, yeah. And it's like that, what is this? We've been on Thursdays, this series. Forgiveness. It's the same process of forgiveness. When you don't forgive someone, then it's like you're being held hostage, or they're holding you hostage. So this thing here, Nick Cannon, in a sense, is holding hostage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, it's a case by case basis, meaning where you live in the United States, because each state have a particular law on how can you get out of this. Then you got kids involved, which makes it harder, and then you've got somebody who might have filed for alimony, and then there's child support and all this stuff. That each level holds up the process more and more. And then the abandonment clauses that they have in states. Okay, so your question cannot be answered exclusively for Illinois purposes. I mean, you have to go from state to state, and there are different answers for it. Now, matter of fact, I have a friend who's on Facebook now who sent her papers to the estranged husband. Said, "I need you to sign these papers." And he's okay. I'll do it. And he just drug his feet. Now she went to the judge, and judge says, "You got to get this stuff done." And then in Illinois, you got to take classes now.
Oh, what?
Yes, when children are involved and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Oh,
yeah. So he wouldn't sign it. So she went back to the judge, and she turned on the tears.
He won't leave me alone.
Now
I don't let me go.
I don't know if she purposely did it. I think she just the feeling of
The frustration.
I'm tired. This been going on too long. I've been going through this process over and over again, and those tears started to flow. And the judge saw that, and she says, "Give me that paper."
The judge, she. Okay.
Sign the off. Says, "You're now divorced." You know. Now the judge have it all in their hands. He or she. Okay, it's all in their hands. All right, so it is difficult because you just don't know what's going to happen as far as what the judge is going to do. You don't know what's going to happen when the person who filed is going to do. You just don't know. Unfortunately, you're doing an injustice when you're going out there dating someone, going through all of that.
Because in that scenario, that person who refused to sign, he could appeal that or challenge that judge's ruling.
Yeah.
Because if he has a good enough lawyer who can present the case right.
Sure.
Okay, I'm divorced now. Let's get married. Nope, you can't because your other marriage is not truly dissolved.
Yeah. Play that.
That's good stuff.
Take me to this break. We're gonna release the Kraken, Yvette Ford. See if she can deal with that question that you just had, because she may have another take on it.
I always do.
I know you do. That's why you here, girl. That's why you here. Mm-hmm.
I can handle it.
I know you can. Hey, I want to hear some Marvin Winans. We're gonna play it for some of his songs, his stuff today. About 3 songs today. This first one here, this project came out called Alone But Not Alone. Great project. For those of you who are dealing with that loneliness stuff that I dealt with all my life, this project is going to heal you. This came out September 25, 2007. This song was called I'm Over It Now. Marvin Winans is one of the greatest songwriters there. I know you do. Matter of fact, you just mentioned his name, the writer of the plays.
Tyler Perry, yes.
Yeah, he had Marvin sing this on one of the one. What is it? The one. We'll figure out what movie that was. It was Gladys Knight sang. They were in a church.
Oh, yeah. He was a pastor at church over there.
Yeah, and No More Drama. What's her name?
Cookie.
No. The R&B singer. She sang No More Drama, and
Mary J. Blige.
Yeah, she was in the movie as well. Yeah, that movie there. We're going to play this song. I'm Over It Now. I'm going to come back with the great Yvette Ford. So Walter Jones Show.
End of a road is never fully told, but it ends. Fulfillment of a dream is more than it seems. Will the scars last? Will the pain pass? People only see the smiles. They're unaware of all the trials one must endure. Just because he's sure he is right, so he fights through the night. It goes on. Don't know when the day will break. When his heart won't ache, or this song will end. Lost it goes, can consume one's soul, and often will. Yet there is no pause until he accomplishes the cause. What a noble deed, driven to succeed. What's the real price of success? And this feeling of emptiness left in its grave, discerning the truth from the fake is the test. And though it hurts, yet nevertheless, at this pain I must wait. From this bitter cup I'll drink until this song, till it ends. And every night I pray, Lord, let this cup pass. 'cause I really didn't know how long it would last. And every week I'd feel the same pain. The residue of hurt would come again and again. Then all of a sudden your life came. Now I'm over it now. Over it now. I can't say how, but I'm over it now. One morning I broke free. All of the chains just dropped off of me. People can talk about me much as they please, but I'm all grown up now. I got the victory, and I'm over. Say I'm over. Yes, I can't see how, but it's over now. Say it again, that I'm over. I'm over it now. I'm over it now. But I'm over it now. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm over it now. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah. Don't know what I will do, but I know I'll get through this song. It will end. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's over now. That's the great Marvin Winans, y'all, from 2007. Alone but not alone. Oh, my God. If you feeling that, man, I tell you, go out there and buy that project. It's go on to iTunes, and there it is.
Get that.
Every song just goes there. You even have his brother who passed away on there. Apparently, he must have found the track that they did together and they never released.
Oh,
you
with,
know, with
Ronald.
Ronald. Ronald did those wonderful projects. Ron Winans and
Family and
Friends.
Friends, yes.
Oh, yeah. Just a crooner of all crooners.
Yeah.
Ron.
I always
his
thought
voice.
he was the singer.
Yeah, he was definitely the singer. Okay. What are the biblical grounds for divorces? We'll talk about this, and then we'll talk about some of the natural aspects of what you need to do to get your paperwork together if you're going to divorce. Okay, some of these things need to be talked about, because don't just file for divorce, sign a piece of paper, wait for the judge to say, okay, you're divorced, and then you didn't cover yourself financially, physically, spiritually, medically, with children and all these other things.
That's the importance of an attorney.
Right. So you need to be doing all that before you divorce. Okay. There's some tax things going on here. All right. But before we do that, Yvette, I need you to dive into that last question we had on the floor that Alvin posed. All right. What was the question again? I forgot. I forgot.
We was talking about dating prior to the official dissolution of the marriage, and the timetable between it, whether or not is enough.
No, you were saying time? Somebody was holding up.
So someone holds up the other person. When the person is done, they've emptied out, they're no longer leaking, they've repaired the crack, they are emotionally, mentally, even spiritually ready to move forward. But the other person, for whatever reason, is being... The other person is being cantankerous, difficult, just a straight whatever to block. What can you do then? Oh, can you do anything still then?
Sure.
Just throw that scenario out there.
Yes. Yvette?
Well, there's two things here that I wanted to say, and I know it was shot down a little bit at first, but you have to understand that some people love the hero syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
They can know that you're at the end of your marriage, or they can know that things are going to dissolve, and they don't mind because they feel like they want to help you out. So as far as the dating situation, some people go along with it because they feel like they want to help you. Wow. They feel like they want to help you across that. And I'm not saying that the intentions, of course, it's still wrong, but some people do it because they feel like I want to help you. They want to help somebody, or sometime I think I forgot. That probably was the same movie where he. No, that was the other movie Tyler Perry did, where she was divorcing the guy out on the mountain, and he married her because he wanted to be her hero.
That's right.
So sometimes people get involved because they want to help you out. They already see that you're miserable. They see that it's ending, and they're like, I'll just hold your hand through it. Is it right? No. Does it happen? Yes. Let's be realistic with this. We have people going through this all the time. So you have to deal with your consequences, though.
Yeah.
You have to deal with your consequences. Do people do it? Yes, they do. And is it wrong? I just say it. I know. Okay, but getting back to
that was.
But getting back to it. No, I didn't, baby. For a minute, it took me a minute because when I was through, I was through.
That was good.
But I will just say, I mean, I just talked to a lot of people, and I, of course, going through this journey and letting it be a topic that I talk about often. I've talked to a lot of people, and I hear a lot of different opinions on what they believe in that moment. Like I said, it's one thing to talk about it, but when you've been miserable a long time and you find somebody that's there to help you through, a lot of people don't wait. They just want to dive in. But as for the aspect of if the other person do not want to let go, of course, I mean, we're talking about the Christian side of it. Prayer works.
Yes.
Prayer works. I mean, pray that the Lord will just allow them to release you and to let you go. And I believe when you are mean and when you are nasty with it, it makes them hold on more. But what to say, you can get more bees with honey than whatever. And if you just know how to handle them during that time, if you want to be out. But I promise, if you're mean and you're calling each other names and you're going at it, whatever, that's just going to give them the fuel that they need to hold on and just to do it to aggravate you. But when you're really truly sincere and you let them know that you want to get out, most people, when they feel that you don't want them, they're going to let you go. But as long as, and in that case with it was Mariah, her dating this man out in the open while they're not done is what's making him holding up. I think that's what it is, because he's like, you're embarrassing me. We're not even done yet. Right. So you want to do me like this and you want me to let you go. So just make sure that your hands is clean.
Yes.
Most of the time, make sure that you're doing things right, and people won't hold you up. They don't want to be in it if you don't want them. Right. But if you're doing the wrong thing to them and they are able to hold you, they will. So just make sure your hands is clean. And I believe, if you have to fight for it, whatever you have to do, if there's other things involved, over time, and if you have your hands clean and your nose clean, situations will happen where you're going to get out.
That's great advice.
You're going to get out.
Great advice.
Excellent.
My ex filed for divorce. Okay, and what shocked me, I told you yesterday about how the pain of hearing a woman says, "I never loved you."
Ooh.
Okay, one of the worst things that you could ever hear, a man can ever hear, is that I never loved you.
Your brother's better than you.
Your brother's better than you. That's so true. It might be funny, but that's so true.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then once that happened, because she already, see, women already they pre-plan in their minds everything.
Don't say that.
When we met up to go for a date, she knew.
She's looking down the
how
road.
they be doing us like that?
She
Quit
knew.
playing.
She knew that there was going to be sex or there wasn't going to be sex that night.
Well, they control that.
Oh, yeah.
Unless he's a rapist.
Yes.
Unless he's a rapist, they
you
control
knew.
that.
When I picked you up from the house, you dressed up in your mind saying, I think it's going to be sex tonight.
Yeah, so
I'm going to put this on. I'm going to put this on.
This? I can't wait to see what I'm
Come on now. I got two sisters. I know how it works. Okay. Okay.
That's not true.
It is true. Or
just say it's not true with you.
Yeah, not with you. But the consensus of women.
Raised right. I know how you come from.
I polled all these women. Y'all all said the same thing. Y'all know because y'all have control over all of it. Like you said.
I had a woman tell me that they know in the first 10 minutes of meeting you whether or not they would or wouldn't.
There it is. I'm telling you.
That's a different thing. Now, whether they're attracted to you.
And then when it's a date, when it's a date, they know whether or not they're going to, might, or won't at all.
That's true.
So there's always those three possibilities.
It's true, Yvette.
I disagree.
We guys, we know about women.
I'm going to say this exactly.
Because y'all tell us. Because we don't know nothing.
No, whoever you talking to.
We don't know nothing unless y'all tell us.
Unless y'all tell us.
No, that's not
so
true.
That's not true,
It
Yvette.
depends on what audience you talking to. I will say that's not necessarily true. Now you got some of them. I only want to put that word out there. That THOT, them. Now they know within the first 5-10 minutes. But I will say, and I hate to say it out there, but I'm gonna put it there. There are some women. I don't believe that that's their intention. I will say that if they go out with somebody and they like them, I can't say that that's their motive as soon as they walk out the door or whatever. It depends on how they like them, and it depends on a whole lot of things that's going on. I can't say that that's
I think you
everyone's
missed- I think you
motive.
missed
I wasn't
I
planning on it,
can't
but
say
when he
that.
touched me like that,
I'm trying to tell you,
no.
Yvette. I'm trying to tell you.
I don't believe that.
Here's what men
Why they
have
trying to
heard.
put us out there like
here's
that?
what we've heard, because we ain't no women.
Who
so we
you
don't.
talking to?
Here's the thing. Y'all said what in y'all mind you're saying to yourself, this guy's probably gonna be interested in me because I'm fine. First of all right, I'm fine. He gonna be interested in me because I'm gonna wear this provocative dress anyway. I mean, whatever. All right, and then in your mind you determine, okay, now I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna even let him kiss me on the first date. All right.
Okay.
Then there's those other women who says, oh no, we're doing it tonight. We're doing it. Okay, and she know he will not turn her down. No way. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a
Those
whole-
are those side who
It's a whole
don't
lot
have
of y'all out
morals
there.
and values, and they just out to get what they want to get for that moment. But that doesn't.
So you
that's not
agree?
the majority. No,
So you
I
agree?
said there is a
Who
percentage.
said majority? Did you say majority?
There's
I
a
didn't say that.
percentage,
You
but
didn't say
she was
majority.
like, "Y'all women." That was like a whole generalization there,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
I
"Hold on,
thought you
wait
said
a
some
minute
women.
now."
We didn't say
Yeah.
all women. We said
We
some.
say all women.
We
We
didn't
said
say
some.
No,
y'all.
I heard
We
y'all.
said,
Oh.
you heard y'all?
So I started to defend the other side of y'all.
Oh, that was what you said? That was what
That's
you heard?
all. That's
We
all.
didn't say y'all.
Oh,
we
see,
said some.
you see how women are defensive and sensitive?
The sisterhood is in full effect right
sisterhood-
now.
Lies. You said y'all.
Right now.
See how sensitive they are, D-Monet? Just sensitive. What you say there? A kiss that said, Pastor Lawrence Jones is your daddy. There better not be sex. I feel you. I just saw her at the musicians' breakfast today.
Man,
She
I was
finally
thinking
drug her
about
husband in there. Finally.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why this woman over here on the left don't come. What?
JLB.
Yeah. No, she on the break.
Oh.
When discussing the Bible's says about divorce, it is important to keep in mind the words of Malachi chapter 2. We talked about. He said that he hated divorce. Okay. Now the Bible gives two clear grounds for divorce. Can we turn there? Matthew 5:32. Alvin Carter.
Okay.
And whoever else want to turn the Bibles, turn your Bibles to the Bible. Matthew 5.
Be blade.
Matthew 5:32.
Matthew 5.
Mm-hmm. If you got it, Alvin Carter, you can read it.
I'm getting it. 5 and 32.
5:32.
Here we go.
Clarabelle, that is not true. What are you saying? What is not true? What are you saying? Type that in there, and then we'll tell you if you're lying or not.
Oh, they'll never admit it, but they know it's true. Okay. Matthew 5:32. KJV.
KJV,
But I say unto you
I say unto you,
that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication,
There it is.
causeth her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery.
yeah.
Again, ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old time, Thou shalt not first swear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths.
Okay.
Keep
Stop.
going or stop?
No, you can stop there.
Okay.
Okay, that's the ground there. That's one of the ground. What's the ground there? Can you help us out? Divorce? I mean,
Fornication
My bad.
or commit adultery.
Okay. All right. And we could do a whole subject matter on the fornication and adultery. Okay. All right. Now, what about chapter? Let's go to chapter 19.
Matthew 19.
And 9.
19 and 9.
19 and 9.
19 and 9.
And I say unto you,
Yes.
whosoever
Preach it.
shall put away
Go ahead, preacher.
his wife,
Yes.
except it be for fornication,
Yes.
and shall marry another, committeth
Go ahead, preacher.
adultery.
My Lord.
And whosoever marry her,
Yes.
which is put away, doth
Who is divorced?
commit
Commit.
adultery.
Lord, how much?
So once you done with everything.
All right.
Can't marry her.
Sew it up,
Wow.
seal it,
Can't marry her, huh?
can't marry nothing.
What you say? Lies.
Now,
All lies.
y'all crazy.
See, that's the tale of two books.
That see,
Tale of two books.
tale of
It
two
ain't
books.
Because it don't say nothing about the man being divorced and what
See
he
that?
can and
See
can't
that?
Tale of two books.
Spirits.
You talk about the Holy Spirit. This is Jesus talking now. It's in red.
It's a tale of two books. Okay, now we're going to talk about that next week because the remarriage, that's the after divorce. All right. subject of next week. But I want to talk about divorce. All right, now.
Yes.
The Bible gives, so it says, number one, sexual immorality. That's number one. Number two, abandonment by an unbeliever.
Wow.
That's first. Let's go there. 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and 15.
1 Corinthians
1 Corinthians chapter 7 and 15. These are the grounds for divorce. Death is obvious. Whoever said it above, that's obvious.
Death.
Yeah.
You can't divorce a dead person. They already dead.
Well, that's why I say it's just obvious.
I'm divorcing. Why? Because he died on me.
He died on me. How'd he die?
He came and went the same time.
Alvin, come on, read, man.
said
Keep
it.
it clean. 1 Corinthians
Really?
7:15.
1 Corinthians 7:15 says.
They said you got to read louder. They can't hear you.
Turn to your Bibles. 1 Corinthians 7:15 says, but if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases.
In the mic. Speaker audience.
Okay, I can't be loud and soft.
Yeah.
But God hath called us to peace.
Yes.
Keep going.
That's pretty much it. Unless you see that that's the next one.
Okay,
relevant.
this is continued. Yes.
Okay.
For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thine wife? But as God hath distributed to every man, as the Lord hath called every one, so let him walk. And so ordain I in all the churches. Okay, then it goes into other things after that.
Absolutely. Okay, so the second one is abandonment by an unbeliever. All right, so if your unbeliever decides to walk away from you, let him go.
Now, that's a huge, huge defense that's used by Jehovah's Witnesses. In fact, my Uncle Prentice, he got rid of 3 wives that way.
Wow.
Whenever he was...
It's a shame, ain't it?
Yes, because whenever he was married to a woman he was tired of it, he would go back to practicing Jehovah's Witnesses and says, well, I've walked away from the faith. Well, she walked away. He'll say she walked away from the faith.
Wow.
And he'll justify the divorce.
Wow. Well, it says even in these two instances, though divorce is not required or even encouraged, because it's not required. It's up to you.
Yes.
If these two defenses happen to you, it's your choice. You can take them back and restore, okay? Because you being sanctified can sanctify the husband. All right? And then the Bible says, and then the children are also saved.
Yes.
All right? So divorce is not required or is encouraged. The most that can be said is that sexual immorality or abandonment are grounds or allowance for divorce. Confession, forgiveness, reconciliation, and restoration are always the first steps. Right? Divorce should only be viewed as a last resort. And that's why we called this show The Last Resort today.
Don't junk a car for a flat tire.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Try to fix it.
Absolutely.
Unless the axle broke.
Yeah, okay. That's a good one.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
People don't. It's usually after the tires is gone, the wheels is gone, the
I agree
engine
with
is
that.
gone. They wait all the way until things should have been over. That's why the bitterness is setting in.
Oh, my God.
It's not they're just doing it over the first thing. Most people fight for their marriage. A lot of times they waited too long, and
They wait
now
too long.
it's bitter. And
Yeah, it's
now
hard to repair
nasty.
it because you
Yvette, have you ever been to a church where you felt my time is up, but you stayed there so long? You got so tied to the ministry, and the Lord told you to leave a long time ago, and you stayed too long. That ever happened to you? Am I getting too personal? Because I can testify about that. Alvin must know something because he's turned his face. See, they family. So they family. I can tell you, I stayed at church too long, and because I was supposed to have left 2 years prior, I got caught up in mess till I found myself having to pay my way out of this
pushed
mess.
out then? Purged out.
Pushed out, purged
Shoved
out, kicked
out.
out, shoved out, silenced out, all that stuff because I was supposed to leave, and that's the way some of our marriages
And
are.
sometimes the supposing to leave, the unction to leave, is grace protecting you from what's coming.
Yeah, yes, that's it, sir. I believe it with my whole heart.
Because God knew who He was sending there to get what they need. But they came in there with certain issues and challenges that might have been the very thing that was the cause of you slipping back.
Yes.
For example, you're a pimp. God delivered you from being a pimp.
Yeah.
I'm just using this analogy.
Go ahead.
He saved you. He filled you with the Holy Ghost and put you back on path. But now He's saying leave, but you don't see that as right. You think it's wrong. And you're trying to be loyal to ministry, but you're not being faithful to God because you're confusing the two.
Yeah.
Then a woman who has just been delivered from being a prostitute
Yes.
comes in and that old demon in you connects to that fresh demon in her, which is of the same spirit, if you will, and you find yourself back on the verge of possibly becoming a pimp again. I know it's far-fetched in the analogy, but if you could see the analogy or the connection.
Yes, I can.
And so, whereas had you left, you two never would have come in contact with each other, and you would have still been praising instead of borderline pimping, and she would have grown at a faster rate because you would not have been with that familiar spirit and possibly hindering her deliverance.
Right. Yes. Ouch. You can say something, Pat?
Well, I was going to say that you asked me, had I been in a church where I should have been gone a long time?
Yes.
And I stayed longer than I should. And honestly, I have to tell you the truth. I can't say that has been my case. Okay. I can say that I may have been comfortable at a place, and I felt comfortable because I've been there, and God wanted me to take my next step. Okay. It wasn't because I was there so long, or whatever. And I will say, sometimes we get comfortable and we get used to routine and we get used to surroundings, and then something may happen. But in my case, I definitely can't say that. But
yeah, I tell you, if you ask 5 people that question, they all, I believe, if not 90% of them will tell you, yeah. And I don't know
too long,
and I don't know how to leave now. I'm in a place right now. I don't know how to leave. I'm so tied to that ministry. One of the questions here is the divorce rate among Christians truly the same as among non-Christians? We always hear this, that the divorce rate is higher in church among Christians than it is in the world. Okay? Well,
that's really hard to gauge.
Yeah, well, it may not be as hard as we think it is because they study everything,
But studies to me are they have a margin of error.
Of course they do.
And they only include the margin of error that they project. But when we say Christian versus what others say are Christian, you know what I'm saying? How do you gauge it? Because you have people who are not practicing Christian, but they say they're Christian. Then you have people who walk in holiness, which is what we say is a different thing.
Right.
So that's just my devout. I'll say it that way. Devout and regular.
Sure. It says we've all heard the claim Christians are just as likely divorced as non-Christians. This statement is often attributed to a 2008 study, they saying.
Okay.
Of Bama Research Group.
8 years old.
That indicated that those who identify as Christians were just as likely as non-Christians to be divorced. The study was also broken down into subcategories by religious denominations, showing Baptists and non-denomination Protestants leading the way into divorce. The claim that the divorce rate among Christians equals that of non-Christians builds upon the common assumption that 50% of all marriages end in divorce. But according to the latest research, these statements about the divorce rate among Christians in particular are untrue. And I knew they were untrue. This is the problem with the church. We've been hearing the same message for all our lives and the generation prior to that.
Because nobody does enough research.
Nobody researched the study.
Check. And then they only speak what's happening in their circle and what they see.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just, we're not like the Berean people in Acts. They studied for themselves. Yeah. They heard Paul and says, okay, I heard you, but let me go home, pull out the scrolls. Yes. Harvard-trained social researchers and author Shanti Feldman, in her book, The Good News About Marriage, says that the data reveals a different story about divorce rate. She states that the 50% figure was not based on hard data. Rather, the number came from projections of what researchers thought the divorce rate would become after states passed no-fault divorce laws. We've never hit those numbers. We've never gotten close. She writes, according to her study, the overall divorce rate is around 33%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we just debunked. We debunked on our Sir Walter Jones show. We like to debunk stuff, okay? But when we come back from this break, we're going to talk about a proposed law forbids sex before divorce.
A law?
Yeah, there's a law that says you got to go to the judge before you decide to have sex with your divorcee.
Oh. Yeah. Wait. I got to ask the judge, can me and my still married wife copulate? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got to ask them. Y'all keep involving the government in y'all's businesses.
And they going to tell you.
They going to tell you.
They going to set benchmarks on how long you got to last.
Absolutely everything. Get ready. Get ready. It's on the way.
That's
all right.
scary.
And we'll come back and we'll see what the Yvette Ford got to say about the divorce, the deep part of it. How did she handle it? And what is it that we need to, some of the signs we need to look out for just in case you go through. Hopefully she'll say some things that'll help you not go through possibly what she went through. Oh, Lord, here we go. I cannot wait. Here come the news. The Sir Walter Jones Show.
On to urbanbroadcastmedia.com and check out the many services Urban Broadcast Media provides. Whether it's social media, video production, radio broadcasting, or audio recording, we got you covered.
Love, glory, and inspiration 24 hours a day. UBM Praise Chicago, a service of the UBM Networks.
The following show is paid programming and does not necessarily express the views and opinions of Urban Broadcast Media and its subsidiaries.
Thank you for listening to UBM Praise.
Investigative reports, June 13. The boy who cried bear in Japan's 7-year-old Yamato Tanuka has been found safe after being reported missing for 6 days. The boy's parents said Yamato had been throwing rocks at cars and people during the family trip to a park on the way home. As punishment, they told him to get out of the car. They drove about 550 yards, then returned. But he was gone. Although his parents initially claimed the boy had wandered off while the family was foraging for vegetables, they later admitted to leaving him as punishment. Many searched for the young child, including police. Yamato was found in a forest known for occupying black grizzly bears. Deadly attack below. In Sydney, Australia, a woman was fatally mauled by a huge shark. Witnesses described the shark larger than their boat. The attack on the woman off the northern Perth suburb comes just 2 days after a surfer died after having his leg bitten off by a shark along the same coastlines. Western Australia State Police said the woman, reported to be a 60-year-old diver, had significant injuries that are consistent with a shark attack. The State's Department of Fisheries stated that given the number of the injuries and the location of the incident, it is likely that a large white shark greater than 3 meters in size was responsible. Here are your 7 reasons to seek marriage counseling. Number 7, when a couple is staying together for the sake of the children. Number 6, when the only resolution seems to be separation. Number 5, when one partner acts out negative feelings. Number 4, when differences can be resolved. Number 3, when the couple seems to be just occupying the same space. Number 2, when one or both partners consider having an affair or has had an affair. And the number 1 reason to seek marriage counseling, communication has become negative. That has been a World Investigative Report from Mary Lakita for the Sir Walter Jones. Please enjoy this next song by Marvin Winans, Just.
So many nights, cried so many hours, trying to make it right. Just didn't have the power. You ignored all my tears, in hope they'd disappear. I tried to let it show, but I guess you learned that I can cope. Yes, I do. I discovered I can make it. Whoa, in nights so long and cold, so cold, you don't know how cold. I learned that I could take it. Oh, now I wouldn't change a thing. Not for the knowledge that I gained. I learned that I could grow. I really did. I tried to let it show. I did. I tried to let it go. But I guess you just don't want to know.
Just don't want to know. Yeah. Marvin Winans, you just don't want to know. Oh, my goodness. Y'all got to go get that project. He didn't call me and tell me to sell this project. Not at all. I just want to help y'all out. It is beautiful. Go to iTunes and again, just download that. Alone but Not Alone. It's just beautiful. I want to talk about here, as we, in the second half of the show, many more are chiming in here. Proposed law forbids sex before divorce. It says a new Massachusetts bill will make divorcing couples require permission from a judge before having sex. State Senator Richard Ross has proposed a new bill, legislation S-787, which forbids makeup sex or even a romantic dinner for couples with children who have separated. Senator Ross is seeking to amend the current divorce law in Massachusetts because of a voter who experienced a terrible divorce. He claims not to actually support the bill. Currently, the state law has a 120-day waiting period for an uncontested no-fault divorce. Many people cannot imagine such restrictions. Nothing would ruin the mood like having to seek out a judge's approval before sleeping with a partner. Should the S-787 legislation pass, this is just what divorcing couples will have to do if they have children. The new law says no sex before divorce. What you guys got to say about that? I mean, do you think there's a reason behind issuing a bill like this? What was the purpose? Nobody has anything?
Well, I was waiting on Yvette to respond, but I'll take a stab at it. Sometimes sex clouds the issue.
I see.
And it may send a false signal of a false signal of reconciliation, or it may even cloud. I said it already. It causes more problems than help.
Yes.
Emotionally, internal. It's just messy.
It is.
It can be messy.
Yeah, it can be messy. I know a lot of couples who are going through divorce, but their bodies still work. They still get hot under the collar. They still have desires, and they don't want to go out there and lay with someone else. So to remedy that, they lay with the person that they've been known in a marriage for many years. And they try to remove, now, Vet, I don't know how hard is that. They try to remove any of the romance out of it. They just want to release this pressure built up in their bodies. What do you think about that, though? Because I think you mentioned yesterday, you're like, that's ridiculous. I can never do that. But there are couples who feel comfortable doing that.
Well, it's when you get to the point of divorce, you have to count up the cost of what you're doing. You cannot play games at this point.
Right.
Where divorce means not just I want to legally be away from you, but it's saying that our marriage is dissolving. So it's sending mixed messages. That's where a lot of times people, the other party, don't want to let go because you're sending a mixed message.
Right.
So do people do it just to take care of a need for a moment. Yes, they do. But I feel like when you get to the point of divorce, you have to be honest with yourself. And you're saying, if this is it, if this is dissolving, you really need to just deal with what you got to deal with and let it go. And, don't be a part of it anymore. I can see why the judge is saying, no, you need to let us know, because now if you're bringing it to the point where the law is involved in your business, now you brought us in, yes, we're going to have to dictate this, because you're not going to play games. People are in and out of court so much, wasting all this money because people want to play games. So I believe once you get to that point, you need to stick to your guns and do what you got to do. If you're saying this is where you want to be, leave the games out the court. And if you still want to be intimate with each other, that's going to always leave somebody feeling a little weird. You know what I'm saying? I would say some people, I don't know, maybe they can, go on with it. But when you're talking about divorces, it's like a ripping of a family.
It is.
It's ripping of a marriage. It's like a death, but the people are still alive.
Right.
So when you're dealing with divorce and you're dealing with separating everything, I don't understand how people say, well, let's put that to the side and still do this. You're still attached then. You're still attached. When you really, really ready for divorce, you count up all of that and say, if I have to go without that, I have to get out of here. And so I do think a lot of times people send mixed messages. You're really not ready to get out if you're still trying to go back to where you come from. It's almost like that scripture where it says the dog to go back and lick up its vomit. No, if that's what you said that you didn't want, why are you going back?
Also, one of the things that backfire in couples who are going through separation and divorce is that let's look at you and I in the situation. Let's assume that we were married, but we decided to divorce. Now I done talked down and dirty about you to my friends and to the world, pretty much. I done put your business out there on social media and everything, and then something happens where we reconcile. We're trying to get back together. We're falling back in love.
Oh wow!
All that dirt,
is
out there now that I told.
Yeah.
Or you might have told of me.
Right.
I see this a lot in people who are going through divorce. Okay.
Wow.
So how do you face that now that you done told this mess about your spouse? Now you're back together. Now this is this embarrassment of now having this. There's pictures of y'all on Facebook now or social media, or y'all walking down the street holding hands, and your friends like, wait a minute, this the same dude that you said did this, did that. He ain't no good, and you would never. So is there a preventive measure that these people who are probably listening, who are going through this right now, can take when you decide to divorce? How much information should people tell about their business before, after going through divorce, so that it won't turn around and bite them?
Well, and honestly and personally, when I went through what I went through, I was faced with how much that I wanted to talk about. And actually, I felt like God just told me, you don't have to explain yourself to anybody or anything. If this is something, if this is a decision, and if you included me in this, in due season, in due time, whatever's needed for it to be divulged, it will be divulged. And I don't believe in you pouring salt and saying all negative things on somebody else, because at the end of the day, you almost saying that's your choice. You chose them. So even though things are not, and that depends on the maturity of the person. It's never good for you to do that.
Right.
It's never good for you to do that. If you want to be out, be mature enough to say I'm out, but you don't have to go say negative things and all of that, because especially if you have children, you want to make sure that you're not that parent that'll saying those negative things about it. But I just believe it's your level of maturity. If you're out, you don't have to dog anybody. You don't have to say any negative things. Of course, there are opportunities that you can say and do a lot of things, but you have to be mature enough to say, you know what? It's not about that anyway. I'm free. And that shows a sign of freedom when you could say, I don't have to say anything about you. That shows a sign of freedom when you says, I'm just moving on with my life. Forget about the past, what he did. And if you happen to, and then that's always good that if, you decide that you do want to come back again later, then that will leave the room for you to do that. But I just believe whether you leave the room to do it or you just go on your own, it's just better to be mature about it. And it just goes down to your family. If you have children, you share different things or whatever, but it's nobody else's business anyway, because none of them are going to be able to give you the power to get back together. None of them are going to pay your bills. None of them are going to do anything. So you should definitely monitor what you say to people, because it definitely could come back at you, or, and things that's said. But just let it go. Be mature and move on with your life, and that shows if you're really free from being through the whole situation. That's what I feel.
And that's wisdom. Just keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything. Just go through the process and let the Lord. If any revenge need to happen, let Him revenge. Woo! It's not yours to revenge. Nothing.
Want to do it? Want to do it?
Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I will repay.
Yes, not yours. So don't be getting FBI investigative reports, following guys around and all this stuff y'all do, and you own that show called Cheaters and just all kind of mess. That stuff always backfire. It always make you look like a fool.
Yes,
it does.
It does.
That's right.
Here's 7 steps to a protective divorce, and these are some of the natural stuff, and then I'm gonna see if Yvette can help us go through this process here. When two people enter into a marriage, it's generally a happy time of joy and high expectations for a lifetime of commitment. The idea of the bliss turning into anger and despair is usually never on a couple's mind. If you find yourself in a situation and feel divorce is your only viable outcome, you need to take the following steps to protect yourself financially, okay? You grab your pens and paper. Here we go. Number 1, separate your non-marital assets. The dictionary would define non-marital assets as property considered by the courts to belong to one spouse or another and that which is not available for equitable distribution. Basically, that just simply means they are not part of the assets divided in a divorce. Some types of assets include inherited property, items bought to the marriage, gifts, even especially to one person, proceeds from the personal injuries and things like that. So separate your non-marital assets. That's yours. Get it out of there. Okay, protect yourself. Number 2, start your own credit history. I can't tell you how many times women have been left with in out there by themselves because everything was in his name.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then you co-sign stuff for him, and then and you don't have your own credit. Okay, so then y'all live this life for several years, and then he's out of there. You left with nothing. You got to start all over, and it's just a horrible situation.
It definitely is.
So I'm teaching my daughter how to be independent in a state, meaning her independent in her name.
Right.
Okay. Teaching her how to be submissive to a man and be able to take care of a man as he takes care of her, as I see in my parents, but at the same time be independent, meaning, come on, baby, let's build your credit up.
Right.
Okay, she got her job now. She got her own apartment. She doing all these things by herself. So when a man comes, all right, she done built up this foundation for herself. And that dude, if he decide he don't want no more, that girl, she just walk out like nothing happened. Okay, so please, ladies, and not just ladies, I know some brothers who got everything in her name because what happened was she found a guy who you mentioned it earlier in one of your scenarios, she felt sorry for him, like a stray cat.
Right.
So she took him in.
Cleaned him up.
Poor guy.
Then
okay.
he walked out on her.
You see what I'm saying? And she moved him in, and she wakes up every morning to go to work, and he's in bed. All right? Okay? And she calls him, you okay? You sleeping all right, baby? Well, I'll call you in another couple of hours. I'll bring some food home, okay? And he's just living the high life. All right? And then she got this business opportunity. He's always this get rich quick. Saying, baby, can you sign this? Baby, can you lend me $1,000 for this? He watching some 1-800 1-900 commercial, okay? And then he's just ripping your credit to pieces. All right. Boom. The flip side of the scenario is she leaves. Now, dude, what you got? Now he got to find a shelter, and he got to start all over.
Right.
Okay. And he haven't worked in so long, so all resumes he got are rejected. You ain't worked since 1985. Yeah, I've been living with my woman.
Wow.
Okay, so start your own credit history. Number 3, conserve. So you're getting ready to go through a divorce. It's going to be a hard time for you. It would also be wise to not start spending large amounts of money, buying high-price items, etc., as you want to make your debt situation as simple as possible. The more outstanding debt, loans, and properties you have prior to divorce will only create a more intricate, time-costing, stressful divorce proceeding.
Yep.
Clean that stuff up. Yeah.
Because they'll be saying, I want some of that. With value ups and then spite.
Yes, sir.
You make it. Oh, and you need a car, so you buy an expensive car. And
Yeah.
say, you got to sell it because I won't have the right to it. Or they'll do. I've seen some vicious things.
Vicious stuff. Number 4, keep track of your financial records. Please. 401ks, IRAs, stocks, CDs, bank accounts, just keep track of it. The first moment you think that you're going to divorce, you need to be going through your paperwork. You need to be going through all this stuff. Says, okay, before I say I want to divorce, I got to get my stuff in order. Number 5, have good timing. The time at when you proceed with your divorce can have a considerable financial consequence. All right? Because there's some tax situations there. There's some things in the Illinois that when I got my divorce, you know, if we had waited a little longer, she could have gotten half. You see what I'm saying? And there's some things, you know, I know some people in Florida who suffer now because they waited this long and then bam. Oh, man, I got to give her all this? Yeah, you do.
Eddie,
Eddie?
I want half Eddie.
Yes. Number 6, close joint accounts. Close them down. If you know the divorce is likely for you and your spouse, similarly to number 3's proactive and think about the things that could cause you more headache and financial burden in the divorce process. Close it down. And number 7, hire an experienced divorce lawyer. Don't get Pookie on the corner because he said he's lawyer and he's a car wash executive during the day. Okay. Don't get that.
Yeah, I got my law degree while I was locked up, you know. And it's certified.
Yeah.
The state pays for this day degree. You know, I've been in jail, so I know the judge. I knew how to operate in the car.
I can't do this with you. Okay, hire an
I
experienced.
done been divorced before. I did my own proceedings.
I was the judge.
Your Honor.
Right, my honor.
I'm over here and I'm trying to get support for my 2 youths.
The 2 youths. All right. Okay, those are all the natural things you need to do to take care of yourself.
You know what?
first.
And it's interesting you bring that up because I don't think any of that is on a person's mind when they're dealing with
None of it.
divorce.
None of it.
All that is logical and it's business sense, but divorce is so emotional.
It is.
Unless that person is that well rooted, and that well grounded, or well counseled.
Yes.
I never would have even thought about those things.
And I didn't think about it when it happened to me
I never would have.
until I had to leave the house because I didn't even have the phone number in my name. And the phone got shut off. I'm like, hello?
Wow.
Wasn't in my name.
I'm telling you, I counseled some brothers in my lodge, going through some similar situations because of that. And one of them, I'll say, made the mistake of marrying a woman who had her own, and instead of getting their stuff, he just moved in with her.
Yep.
And it was like, that never was your house.
No.
That was hers.
That's exactly it.
And you have no right to.
No right. Yeah.
You know.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Yvette.
It'd been better to move out, use that property as income by renting it, and then you have more authority to say stuff. But you know, that's just one aspect. Oof. Man, that should be discussed in counseling, premarital counseling.
Yes.
It's like the 7 habits of successful people.
Yes.
Stephen J. Covey.
Sure.
Begin with the end in mind.
Absolutely.
And so I guess a marriage counselor would have 2 potential ends. Death do your part.
Yes.
That means you got to have some good life insurance on each other, or divorce.
Yes.
And those should be like the first 2 classes
Sure.
before you even start talking about moving forward.
That's so true.
Well, of course, people, if they so in love, they ain't hear none of that.
They're not hearing none of it. And that's the purpose of doing this show. This is a counseling session in this sort.
So, you know, the end song should be cheaper to keep her.
I guess so. You know, yesterday I said that marriage is grand, but divorce is $50,000. Okay. Hey, Yvette.
I can't with you. I can't with you.
Right. Pull it in, Walter. Okay. Hey, Yvette, help us out here. You went through a plethora of stuff. Set us up. Especially, you got this event coming up in about 2 weeks now.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
which is based. Yeah, these shows here are really precursors leading up to her show. Okay, her night, her release, her ministry, and all these things that she had to go through in the release of her song.
I celebrate your courage.
Yeah, Yeah, it just
I can't imagine having to relive all this stuff.
It is amazing. So that's why I wanted to wait to the end, towards the end here, with the 30 minutes that we have, to kind of spend more time now on that. Because I wanted to talk about just the divorce process up until you, bam, we're now divorced, and then we'll pick it up next week on now what I do afterwards. All right. So can you maybe focus on what's something that you've gone through that you think that our listeners need to know that can really help them on that process of the decision to divorce and to accept the divorce? Because if he filed, now yours is the thing of acceptance.
Well, when you and Alvin was talking, I was thinking about the calculated decisions that you have to make to separate and divide with somebody that you yet still love is so hard.
Oh, Lordy.
See?
We're not talking about these cold and it depends on where you are, but this is still somebody that you love, somebody that you have children with. This is somebody you have family. You've developed a whole life with somebody, and you have to make these calculated thoughts on how to rip this up. Who thinks about that?
Who thinks about it?
It's not easy, and that's why I really do. I'm gonna say I don't wish divorce on my enemies, because there's no good in it. You're gonna end up ripped somewhere from divorce. But I will say, to the question of, you wanted me to let them know, what things that they could do to be prepared for it. Like I said, I stayed in my prayer closet, and I had to make sure within myself that I was okay with making this decision. And I had a knockdown drag out with God. And I can share my experience, and I don't care if it's judged or whatever. I'll share my experience, how it happened to me. I was at home alone, and I was just really like, okay, God, you got to do something. Either you're going to kill this or you're going to heal this. But I'm not going to be here, this place, miserable much longer. And I just began to lament, and I got on the floor, and I began to cry, and I began to holler. I was like, God, you got to do something. I can't be here. And as I began to roll and lament in the floor, and I was calling out to God, I heard the word divorcee. Now, I didn't look up anything. I didn't do a background check. I didn't do all of these things that you guys are saying. I had to make sure in my spirit with me and God that if this is the decision that was going to be made, that's really who I have to deal with. I wasn't worried about people. I wasn't worried about family. At the end of the day, you got to make sure this thing is right in you. And so I began to lament. I began to cry, and I heard the word divorcee. And even while I was crying, I remembered this had to be the spirit that lifted me up off the floor. I sat down, and I didn't really even understand what the definition meant. All I remember is seeing, and I got up, and my computer was in front of me, and I typed in divorcee. And it said, at that moment, it said a woman that is separated, or a woman's marriage that is dissolved while the husband yet still lives. This is what happened in this moment for me. I typed it up. It said a woman's marriage that is dissolved while he still lives. And I sat there, and I began to cry, because it was like it was coming down on me about the decision that I needed to make. And so the most thing that I can say, when I had that moment in the spirit with God, I'm not talking about nobody came to me. I didn't say this happened in anger and frustration. You should never make a decision like that in anger and frustration. You should get to a place of peace and make sure you're seeking out what you need to do. And I wasn't angry. I wasn't upset. I was in the spirit. And I had this moment. I don't care what anybody say. I had this moment with God. And when I had that moment and I realized this is what I needed to do, I picked myself up off the floor and I said, God, whatever that I need to do, I know that you are with me. And as long as you know God is with you, you don't have to worry about it. I'm not saying the journey's going to be easy, but what you have to do is make sure that you are right, because you got to go to sleep at night and make sure that you have peace, in spite of what people may say. I didn't care who I had to face. I didn't care what religious people I had to face, because nobody really is in that home with you and that person. Right. So just make sure that your relationship with God is right. You got peace with God. If you make that decision, just know that's what's going to carry you in spite of what people say and their opinions all about you and what you should have done. When you got that peace with God, please, people can say what they want. Even the children, they may not understand. You're going to go through stressful things with them because they're hurting. They don't understand. But when you've had that with God, that's it. That's all that you need. He'll give you the strength to speak to your kids. He'll give you the strength to deal with church. He'll give you the strength to deal with whatever that you have to do with when you first make that decision and that peace with God about what you're going to do. He'll lead you the rest of the way, is what I feel.
Oh, my goodness. And Officer Carter, she brought up the spiritual aspect, which is something that when we're suffering, do you notice, have you noticed how there are only certain times when we seek the Lord?
When we're hurting, physically and emotionally, and when we're afraid.
Yeah. When we're afraid.
When we're hurting, we're afraid. And I think divorce encompasses both of those emotions simultaneously. Because you're hurting, as she so sufficiently and elegantly put it, but then you're afraid because you really don't know what's up ahead.
You don't.
It's unpredictable. It's volatile. Divorce is a mystery in itself. Because you're going to separate and be apart, but then what's next?
What's next?
How is next going to look?
Right.
Who's next? Is there going to be a next? What is going to happen on that side? Because as she so stated, you still love that person.
Still do. It doesn't end because of that.
And what are they going to be doing? And with children involved, who's next is very important because who's next become a part of the children's life.
Yes.
And if the next... will the next be fair to mine? All these different things. Men don't think like okay, many men don't think about the children and the woman being. They think about themselves. Right. When it comes to marriage, that's a selfish act in a lot of ways for men. I'll honestly say that. The only thing they care about is making sure the woman is happy, so he'll have peace at home. Right. Peace of mind.
My.
And. They don't think of the fallout of the kids, and they don't think about are they bringing another wounded woman into the relationship that may transfer the pain to the kids because they envy the kids. So then there's the fear again, the fear on the other side of are they abusing my kids, or on the other side the man. What man is they bringing, especially if there's daughters involved and the mama gets married again? Yes. Whew. What man is standing over my daughter at night? Right. Because a man will say that ain't my child, and if the daughter's of some age or a certain age, he's not that's my daughter. To me, she's a baby girl. To him, that's a little woman.
Sure is.
And so now I got to know if this dude's gonna be crazy and try to mess with her. All this fear that comes in. So now they start seeking God, seeking God for direction and protection and guidance. So, and that the seek should never have stopped from the onset.
From the onset.
Because if you were seeking God like you were at the cusp of the divorce, it may have prevented everything.
Absolutely. Men should always pray.
Yes.
And not faint. And that's, one thing that I did learn when I was married, that is that when we started having problems, that's when we went to the pastor for counseling. And one thing he said to me that when I was young, I didn't agree with it, but as I got older, I did. He says, sometimes you got to just separate when things are great.
Oh, okay.
When things are great, take a break.
Wow.
He says, y'all always wait till things are bad. Now you want to run in for a quick fix.
Wow.
And he says, sometimes, you really want to see. Have you ever had a woman to always say to you, do you love me? And you say yes. Tomorrow, do you love me? You say yes. Will she ever know if you love her? Because she always have to ask you, but you don't volunteer it. And it's like when I was watching All in the Family, the Archie Bunker thing, he would never say, I'm sorry, Edith. He wouldn't say it in an episode. And she got mad. She couldn't take it. She said, you never tell me I'm sorry. And he just said, what? Towards the end of the show, he finally started doing
you know that thing there that, you said I never do. I'm that.
Yep, that's it. I'm that.
You know what I mean, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean.
That's what he said.
I love you, girl. I love you, Edith. And I know want to hurt you.
And then she said, You sorry, aren't you, Arch?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yes,
And then she says, "I'm so glad you said it."
Yes.
Wow.
And that's how the show ended.
Then go ahead and give me a beer.
Yep, that's exactly it. That's the whole gamut of it all.
Yeah, but she understood the language.
Yep.
Because it's not always with words.
Right.
It's gestures. So it goes love language. Mm-hmm. And see, some people are caught up in words because they want what they want, how they want it.
Yeah.
And the packaging is just the outside.
Yeah.
And you can have a great package, but the content of the gift can be horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But if the content of the gift is wrapped in newspaper, all you do is tear the wrapping up in the first place.
True.
But some people, it's all about presentation.
Right.
And that man may never utter the words, I love you.
No.
But you got a full tank of gas every day because you never have to put gas in your car. You got food in the refrigerator because he's going to make sure. Now, he may not cook it, but he's going to buy it. Lights, gas, all that stuff. You say you want your nails done. Okay, he ain't going to pay for it. I am. Yeah.
Yep.
But I want you to take me. I got to work to get the money for it. You know, that's love from a man's point of view.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's why we did we talked about the whole love languages thing. Because if my love language is touch and yours is not, then I can't keep
Your
trying.
love annoys me.
Yeah, your love annoys me, yes. Yeah. So if mine's not confirmation or affirmation, I think that's the word, then you could beat me up for 10 years. It's not coming out of me. I won't feel comfortable doing it. And what we try to do to each other is try to force and try to build this thing that we like into them. And sometimes it does work, but many times for men, it don't work because we're
creatures of habit,
we're set in our ways,
or we'll do it because that's what makes you happy, but it's still not
it's
authentic because
not
you
authentic.
still don't like it.
We don't like it.
I said I love you. Yeah, but you didn't mean it.
Right. Right. Yep.
I do mean it.
Yep.
Well, then say it like you mean it. I love you.
Right.
You know, that ain't it.
That ain't it.
Because you want to hear, I love you.
Yes.
You set my soul on fire. It's not just a spark. It's a flame. It's a big roaring flame.
It's the international.
It's so silly. Yeah, there is Yvette. There's a differences between. I think it is a sex thing, male, female, on how to show or how. I think you guys, of course, it's obvious that you guys are very emotional than we are. We don't show our emotion like y'all do.
You're surprised men are emotional in a different way.
But
they are just as emotional. Yeah.
I just said that.
Yeah.
You show yours outwardly. We don't show ours outwardly as much unless we going to buy a new car or we're watching a game. Okay, that's when you see us.
Or we hear some music.
Depends
on if he's musical.
Yes.
But I wanted to say, where you guys were talking about, the love languages and things that you do, I believe also when you love that your love should allow you to stretch. Yes, you do have your certain way that you do things, but you don't want to make sure that you want to make sure that you allow yourself to go in a different place. You don't want to get so stuck. I'm not saying that you yield to whatever that the person wants all the time, but a lot of people use that as an excuse so they don't have to change. I'm just going to give you what I'm going to give you, and you just accept what I give. And you don't want to stretch. You don't want to try. It's not going to even hurt you, the things that we're asking, but people use that as a way to be stuck in their ways and, a way not to be able to give. But if you really love, you got to be able to give outside of yourself. You got to be able to change. Women, men, everybody. But I don't want people to use that excuse of, this is my language, this is how I do it. You just take it or you don't. Because then that means you really are just being selfish. I'm going to give you what I like and how I want to do it. And that's not what a marriage, and that's not what a real relationship is. It's about the other person, and it's not about you.
Now, I agree with that.
Like
Sometimes
sex?
you have to be.
It's like sex.
To some degree.
It's really about the other person.
Hey!
Yeah?
Yeah,
it is. Wear your button so I can push it.
There it is. Because you're going to get yours. You will be.
No, honest to God.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because if your buttons aren't pushed, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, it's a waste of time. Show me your buttons.
I'm done, y'all.
It's right here in the sole of my foot, and also between my second toe and my third toe.
And so
right there in the middle.
Keep pushing that button.
Right there. That's my. Now, but back to another thing she said. With men that do not mind stretching, we don't multitask like women.
No.
So the love language or that thing that you want will accommodate you, but then something else may go lacking.
That's true.
So whereas I'm doing this for you because that's what you asked, but you stopped doing that. Make up your mind. No, I didn't say I didn't like any of that.
Sure.
I just want that. And he's like, I can't do all that.
I can't do all that. I'm not.
No, some men are like
Sure.
that, and science has proven they can tell a woman's brain from a man's brain.
Yes, they can.
Because that membrane
that's
in
right.
between, we have a line right there. Y'all
Sure.
don't.
Right. That's so true.
We don't. We just we stupid like that.
Yeah. Yes. And I think there's creative things that a woman can do to get a man to do the things that Yvette was talking about. I think all men should be able to stretch out and do things out of the norm.
And especially make him write. Maybe he'll write it down before he say it.
Yeah. That's so true.
Because we've proven that most of the most beautiful love songs are written by men.
Yes, they are. 90% of them written by men. Because he's, and women always say that men are not emotional, but you listen to our songs.
Yes.
We are very emotional.
Yes.
That's why we write the lyrics we do, and then we give it to you to sing it.
Yeah. Your voice sounds better doing this.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is because
or it sells better what you saying versus me.
Because I don't want to be a punk singing it.
But we're talking about words. What about the other language where, it's her language that she likes gifts, and then you may have the guy, no, that's not, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
We're not just talking about love, and I love you too.
And I agree with you, but gifts,
I know.
I had that issue before.
Yeah.
That's big too. That's
it was a huge issue.
Sure.
And I've talked about one year for Christmas. It was a dirty joke, actually. It wasn't dirty. No, it wasn't dirty. It was a joke. But the egg was on the face because one year I handed this box and it had a key ring in it. It was a fob for a remote for a car. It was a remote start. And it was the kind with the little car, and you could see the engine smoke coming from it and everything. And the statement was, "That's all I get for Christmas?" It's a remote start, so the car can be warm in the winter before you get it in, cool in the summer. Because men think practically about the safety and protection of their woman. And this particular one is there so you can see that the car is running before you get out there. Or if it's broken into, it'll show that somebody's entered the car. And then I heard all this complaining on the phone. Yeah, I could have got somebody to start the car. That's what somebody else, such did. I run out the car, come back in the house, blah, blah, blah. I wanted a fur coat to keep me warm. And as she was saying it, I come out of the basement with a fur coat. I said, so you didn't like that gift. I guess you don't really want this one,
Wow.
So I said all that to say that you will know if he's a gifter long before marriage starts. And you'll know that he's a true gifter during the early stages of marriage because he'll continue to do it. And the type of gifter he'll be, you'll then know. And after so many years, you'll just know he may not be elaborate because his budget doesn't allow it, but he's practical and thoughtful. And I think those two qualities are what's most important about gifting than price tag.
Yeah.
I agree with that. As far as being the provider and the man being the provider, I know he's looking out for the family. So a lot of time that affects his decisions about different gifts and stuff and all of that. But sometime when you're fine and everything's good and y'all financially can do it, but because it's his nature to want to save something, you can go, you really can afford a vacation, but you just don't want to go because you're paranoid. We're not going to have enough later. So just making sure that you stay open. Like I said, yes, we love to hear I love you. Yes, that is wonderful. But a lot of times we may want something else, whatever language, whatever it is. Real love causes you to come outside of yourself and it stretches you. If you're with somebody that they don't stretch you, then I just wonder. Is that really, because we talked about yesterday that the person who you're attracted to is the things inside of them is what you really look after.
That's true.
So if you're with somebody and you can't see nothing in them that you like that's going to stretch you and that's going to make you better.
Why?
So stretching feels good.
Yeah.
I believe that it makes you better.
Leave marks.
It makes you better.
Yeah, stretch. That does make you better.
Sometimes the stretching happens and the results the next morning.
Absolutely. So to recap this whole entire day, what we're saying to you guys, after yesterday's, you have exhausted all you can to stay together. Today, we decided we will divorce. Ouch. The Bible gives 2 reasons. 1 for the unbeliever, number 2 for fornication or adultery, okay? So now we're going down to the lawyer's office, and you got somebody to represent you. I got somebody to represent me. In my situation, she filed, and the papers came in the house. Actually, a white guy drove up to the church. Tell my story. You know, first of all, when I didn't even know that she would be that bold enough to even file for a divorce. You know, I just was in denial of all of that stuff. And I was at choir rehearsal getting ready to go into the church. My choir members were going in the church, and this white dude pulled up in front of my church. Came outside out that truck with papers.
Wow.
I had never seen no papers like that before in my life. And I saw my name, her name versus my name. And I says, okay, what's this? And he says, you're being sued. I said, and I was so naive. I said, who's suing me and my wife? That's what I said to him. He said, huh? I said, who's suing us? He says, so-and-so is suing. No, he said, this is you, right? Yeah. He says, that's your wife. I said, he says, well, this is a suit. I said, but who's suing us? And he turned to me, he says, oh my God, you don't know? I said, I don't know. He says, I'm so sorry. He says, your wife is suing you for divorce. And my heart fell to the ground. I said, you're kidding me. He said, yeah. And I wanted to break out in tears right there. You know, I says, I can't believe this. How could that be happening? He says, oh my God. He felt like, it felt like a scene from Schindler's List. I don't know if you ever seen the movie. Towards the end, he had this feeling of distraught. And I was like, how could this be happening? I'm asking the guy. He says, man, I'm just a messenger. He says, here's a number right here. Call the lawyer. Her lawyer, and then he'll take you through the process. He's, oh my God, sir, I'm so sorry. I mean, he felt horrible. And now I got to go into a choir rehearsal.
Yeah. Give me B flat.
You see what I'm saying?
We ain't that up.
You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't have went. I would have been like, choir rehearsal is over tonight.
That choir rehearsal lasted about 10 minutes.
I thought so, because I wouldn't have did
I went in there. I said, we're doing an A selection. We're going to go over this song. We out of here. I ain't going to hold y'all up. I ain't want to tell them what's going on.
No.
I ain't going to hold y'all up.
Oh, boy, had you told that man.
That was the worst day of my life. Okay, and so then I dismissed, let them all go.
And it got on your nerve.
And I sat in the car, and it felt like I sat in the car all night long. I could not go home. I mean, I wasn't living with her at the time. I had my own place, but no, I was late. I was staying with somebody else. You know how the whole rescue, people rescue you when you're going through that stuff. And I sat in my car, did not want to go home, and that was the longest moment in my life. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, failure, because in my mind, reconciliation that's the only thing I heard. Reconciliation. And then that paper came. I said, that's it. So I finally went home and couldn't go to sleep. Of course, couldn't sleep for a couple of days. And then something said, call your pastor. We both went to the same church. Surely he got to know. Okay. I called him. Hey, pastor, how you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. Yeah. I said, I got some papers in my face here. So-and-so filed for divorce. He like, oh, wow. Yeah, I see. I said, so what should I do? Well, what do you want to do? I says, well, the paperwork says if I can detest it, or if I don't do anything at all, then it can go through this normal process. Because she's not asking for alimony or nothing like that. She says, okay. What do you want to do, son? I says, Pastor, I refuse to force anybody to be married to me. He said, that's your decision? I said, yes. He says, okay. Well, we'll pray for you. You hung up the phone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I went. Yeah, that's it. That was my pastoral advice. And then I went through the process.
Can you fix this? Because it's not a force.
Mm-hmm.
Not, son, what led to this?
Mm-hmm.
Not getting in your business.
None of that. No.
And above all else, son,
mm-hmm.
can you make peace?
Yeah. Nope. None of that. No. Now I'm gonna tell you why. I found out. Yeah, I found out later on why he was so short with me. Yeah. And then, yeah.
Sounds like he's waiting on you to get out the way.
No, not that.
Okay.
I didn't go. I let them go through the process. I was divorced before you knew it. All right. Come to find out, about a year later, talking to a family member on his side, I was helping his family member out. He was at a preaching thing, and I'm playing for him. And we in the car driving. He said, Walter, he said, man, I feel bad for you. I said, why? He said, you know, Pastor is the one that drove your wife down there to the divorce office.
I knew it was a closer connection in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I said, really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He drove her down there. Yeah. I said, so that explained why he was so short. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He knew.
Oh, yeah. When he said,
he dropped her off.
Yeah, he knew.
Yeah, he knew. You know, I said, so apparently they have been counseling back and forth,
which is inappropriate.
Without me.
Inappropriate.
And we're going to the same church.
Inappropriate.
I said, yeah, I get
so
this now.
So that means he placed value on one member over
I get
another.
I get it now. And I'm telling you,
I was asked to be an assistant pastor.
Yeah.
By a pastor.
Yeah.
And he shared with me a scenario with a deacon and their wife. And I knew both of them, friends with both of them. And when he said, well, I see the value that she offers. He, you know, and when I said he sat there and he split that unity, I said they don't come separate. They're one flesh. They're married. That's what the Bible says. I knew then I couldn't work for him. I couldn't be his assistant.
Sure.
I mean that little bitty detail. That I said no. You would tear stuff up, and now lo and behold, that whole place is disastrous.
Oh, I know.
Because if you can't respect the bonds of marriage,
right,
regardless of your opinion of the individuals involved,
yeah,
they are one flesh.
Sure. In
your eyes as a pastor,
right.
And if you see an issue between the two of them, your job is to meet with them both, or you and your wife, and you all work together to help them solve it.
Yep.
Not encourage it to dissolve it.
Well.
So you never went to counseling with that pastor?
Once,
and he still made a decision outside of that.
We counseled, and then after that, all the counseling was done was with him and her.
Okay,
you see what I'm saying?
You can say what you want about that.
All right, and then
his man.
Yeah. Well, anyway. No.
Okay.
No, none of that happened. But I do know for a fact. I know that's the kind of church where everybody over there is divorced, pretty much. All the missionaries.
That's terrible.
Divorced, so they got an unsaved husband at home who's on their way to the divorce office. So that's why I said the church have hurt many people. The church is responsible for so many divorces out there, and you can't keep going to these undocumented pastors out there to help you through this stuff. You got to really have somebody you really have faith and trust that God can send you to. And I'm not saying the guy that got the degrees on the wall is going to use your quick help, fix help as well. But through the Holy Spirit, as Yvette continue to bring us back to the spirituality of it, God will lead you to who to talk to get you through this stuff here, man. You know, we're serving on the people who don't really care about us.
They think who's the most valuable between the two.
Yes.
And then they put their focus on that.
Melissa said this is worse than a slasher movie. Yeah, it felt like a slash. My heart was ripped. You know, I was talking about how when I got divorced, I literally, in the spirit, heard a ripping sound, and it frightened me. So, oh my God, bad enough the kids have already been affected by this, you know? Now my heart's ripped in two. And how do I move on? So next week, come Monday, we're going to dig deeper into the after divorce. What did Yvette Ford do to get some healing? Who did she talk to? Can she be in the same room with this man? You know, and how was the children affected in it? Have they been able to talk to her about some of the feelings that they've had? You know, talk about my children. My son really had a problem. He had a hard time with this. I didn't know he had a hard time until he finally talked to me when he was grown. And he had a coming to Jesus meeting with me about that divorce, and he made me cry on the phone. And I could not believe that he remembered or knew, or he was that alert to know what was going on.
You'd be surprised what kids are
Kids know stuff. They know stuff. They can tell you stuff, and you be like, "Oh my God!"
They may lack the vocabulary, but they don't lack the understanding of certain things.
Or the memories until the vocabulary comes.
Yes,
they have the memory.
Yes. So y'all think today's show is hard? Next week's show is going to be even harder because she's going to talk about. She's going to, y'all bring some tissue, okay? And then we're going to talk about the healing process, and we're going to talk about is it okay to remarry? All right, we're going to bring out the scriptures and talk about what is really adultery or is committing or committed. We're going to talk about those words. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about all that and going to mess up
legalese now.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about does God forgive? Because there's some people who are in my pastor, Bishop Moody. He had to rethink all this stuff. We never thought he would say stuff like he says, I got to rethink this. He says, I really got to. He says, because he don't marry a person for the second time. He never done that for the 50 years he's been a pastor. He just wouldn't do it. He says, now I have to rethink it. Yep. And when he said that, we was like, oh, the church is changing. Because he began to seek out and for the answer. And he said, I asked God, am I right? And what am I doing? Denying these couples here because that one was married before, you know? And he came to his conclusion. And for the first time, he married a couple that one was married before. And I was shocked. I was sitting at the wedding. I almost had popcorn. Bishop Moody is married.
Yo, Bishop, I'm next.
But he had to look at absolutely every aspect of it.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that next week, okay? Go play my outro there, TC. This is the great Marvin Winans sing a song called I Shall Never. Oh, my gosh. And he brings in this young lady who sings the song with him. Don't worry, Sprinkle, we'll rewind it as we not talk over it. But Kiss to Say in the Church is the bride of Christ. She is blameless, uninformed, people lacking in spiritual knowledge and anointing hurt people. That's so true. Children ultimately pay the price, V. Rogers is saying. Praise God for Bishop Moody. My mom's on here. Hey, Mommy.
Oh, wow.
She said, praise God for Bishop Moody. Yeah. The Lord has really been dealing with him on this whole marriage situation. And many are hurting. And he realized that some people, matter of fact, when it was time for me, he said, separate. I never thought I heard my pastor would say that. Separate. Because y'all can kill each other if you don't. Okay? The church is learning. They are understanding that some marriages are very dangerous for the individuals. And it's dangerous for the children, physically and psychologically. Get out of that mess. And separate, try to get some reconciliation and healing, what have you. And if that doesn't happen, and if it's in Scripture, go ahead. You have a right to divorce. We'll talk about that next week. And if you're able to remarry, we'll talk about that as well. Okay? I want to apologize to Barack Obama and Michelle. We didn't get a chance to interview you. But if you come back tomorrow, we'll get you in here. Okay? We do that every night, by the way. We always let them up. They on the outside of the door trying to get in. Secret Service is going to be tired. Thank you, CC. Eve Cook, Yvette Ford. See, there's an Eve on Facebook. As Eve Cook does the news. You're Yvette Ford. They both start with a Y. Why? Spirit. Thank you, Officer Carter.
You're welcome, sir.
You do the best you know how.
Help me, Lord.
And the event is the 27th. June 27th, your address?
The address to the place. It's called it is called the Lawndale Christian Sky Deck. Is 3750 West Ogden Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. Starting at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
And it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be crazy.
Everybody's
invited.
invited.
I'm going to be there. All right, y'all. Monday we're going to talk about this. That'll be our last of the three day series. All right, y'all. So Walter Jones Show.
Just make a final stand.
Hey, ladies and gents, if you missed any of today's show, head to Spreaker.com and search The Sir Walter Jones Show and listen to this show and past shows. Now remember, search for The Sir Walter Jones Show on Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker spelled SPREAKER.com. And enjoy.
You have been listening to the Sir Walter Jones Show, where Sir Walter Jones provides you with a biblical perspective on everyday life. Stay connected to Sir Walter Jones at his website, www.sirwalterjones.com. Search The Sir Walter Jones Show on Facebook or follow on Twitter at Sir Walter's Music. Until next time, thank you for listening to The Sir Walter Jones Show with Sir Walter Jones.
All right, Mr. Walters.